All right, so we get go live. 3, 2, 1. Hello, YouTube. We are back. I'm Dan Salem, and this is Maddie Salem, my beautiful daughter. We missed you last week because we needed to buy a new computer. Oh, Andy, I saw you in the background. Ha, ha, ha. And if you didn't already know, I assume that this is working. Whoops, no muting. So I am live on YouTube's now new Go Live format. And as far as I can tell, it is working wonderfully. But please, please comment if there are any issues with it. Now, before I dive into the NFL reactions, which we are all here to listen to today, I'm going to go live on Facebook in 3, 2, 1. I like to dual platform this BS. Okay. Hello, hello. I am Dan Salem, and this is Maddie. Hey, Maddie. We're live on Facebook at the Dan Salem. We're live on YouTube, BuzzChomp's YouTube channel. I'm going to attempt to click share, and tweet it. The only problem is I'm on my, I want to stay, and it's just, oh, I see. I'll have to share it after the fact. That's a shame. Maybe someone else can share it for me. How is that going to work? I don't know. Anywho, we're live. We're going to talk the NFL playoffs at the Dan Salem on Twitter, at the Dan Salem on Facebook, BuzzChomp's YouTube channel. Okay, so we have 4 teams left. It is the final 4 in the NFL playoffs before we dive into the Super Bowls. That means the AFC and NFC title games are in full effect. And it's the Minnesota Vikings who will travel to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. And it's the New England Patriots who will host the Jacksonville Jaguars. You gotta be honest with me. Most everyone had the Patriots in the AFC Championship game to start the season. I don't think anybody picked the Eagles, Vikings, and Jaguars. I'd be shocked if anybody but a Jaguars fan even picked the Jaguars. I'd be shocked if maybe someone picked the Vikings. But I don't think anyone had had the Eagles or the Jaguars before the season started. Now, Carson Wentz had a great year, but now Nick Foles is the quarterbacking the Eagles. Case Keenum is quarterbacking the Vikings because Sam Bradford went down after Bridgewater went down. And we have Blake Bortles still quarterbacking the Jaguars, playing better on a really good team. And then there's Tom Brady. So how did we get here? Because OMG, there were some crazy-ass exciting games outside of the Patriots taking care of business against the Titans, which everyone expected, and then they did. The other 3 games were down to the wire. They were pretty much all down to – that's my ear. They were pretty much all down to the final play. On Saturday, Philadelphia and Atlanta. Atlanta had an opportunity to win at the very end. Okay, this is not working. Here you go, baby girl. Woo! Philadelphia and Atlanta. Atlanta had an opportunity to win at the end of the game. They had first and goal. No, first and goal. I don't know. It ended up being, I think it was first and goal, but it ended up being 4th and goal. They needed a touchdown because they were down by 5. I happened to pause the game because I had to pee. So I paused the game and witnessed the formation. I'm trying to try this way. See if that's better? Better, worse? Worse. I paused the game, and as they were lined up in their formation, correct? So we saw the formation that Atlanta was in. And I saw the coverage that Philadelphia was in. And so I'm looking at it, and I got a football background, you know? I played for many years. All Atlanta had to do was run their running back out into the flat, touchdown win. Almost every team puts the running back into the flat as a safety net at a bare minimum. Now, credit the Eagles because their defense all game must have forced Atlanta to keep this running back in as a blocker. But the dude, he was running like unless he went up and he chipped the defensive end. Now, he stayed and continued to block him. He should have just chipped the guy and then went out into the flat. Easy touchdown. I also was expecting the receivers to run slants. They did not. Julio Jones ran deep back corner, just missed it. He slipped a little bit. Game over because they didn't get the touchdown. Eagles are in the championship game. Basically, the point is defense won that game because, I don't like the play call, but the defense won that game. Came down to the final play. Eagles prevailed. They did not make many mistakes, and their defense held Matt Ryan in check. Was it 15-10? 10 points for the Falcons. They were up and down all year. It's not surprising that they fell short of reaching their goal to defend their NFC championship. So that game was a little less exciting only because of what happened on Sunday. Yes, the Patriots also won. They beat the Titans. Marcus Mariota got an injury, and the Patriots, the Titans were an inferior opponent. I think anybody that was playing the Patriots this season, more or less, was an inferior opponent in the AFC, outside of only one or two teams, one of them being Jacksonville, who beat the other one being Pittsburgh, which is why I'm really excited for the championship matchups themselves, but I'll get into that in a minute. So we have Jacksonville playing Pittsburgh. The Jaguars were up, I believe, 21-0, 28-7. I saw they were up 41-28. Pittsburgh would not go away. Jacksonville won 45-41 or 45-42. Memory serves. Jacksonville scored a lot of points after only scoring 10 points the week prior. Now, I was not that high on Pittsburgh's defense all year, and for Jacksonville to lay 45 points on them, yeah, it had some holes. Now, Jacksonville's vaunted defense gave up a lot of points to Pittsburgh, but they did just enough. They also scored a defensive touchdown, which they keep doing. So this, again, even though they gave up a lot of points, it was the defense that won that game for Jacksonville. They won the game. They played Kansas City's game. No, it wasn't Kansas City. They played Buffalo's game and beat Buffalo, and they played Pittsburgh's game and beat Pittsburgh. Now, it's a little worrisome that they played the same style of game as their opponent, but they won both times. They will be on the road again this week against New England. If they play New England style of game, which has been more running the ball and defense this year, not that Brady hasn't been really good, but with Deion Lewis, they've been running. Jacksonville's better with Leonard Fournette and their defense. So, like I said, we'll get to that in a minute, but that was down to the nitty-gritty last wire. I believe Pittsburgh kicked an onside kick. I missed the very end of that game. But Pittsburgh kicked an onside kick, and they didn't get it, and Jacksonville held on to win. Well, a game I did see the ending of live, which was the best of the bunch, was Minnesota versus New Orleans. Now, again, Minnesota was leading most of the way until the very end, where I was fortunate to see. I saw the Saints kick the presumably – I know. I take it back. I watched it. I saw Minnesota kick what could have been the winning field goal. There was like a minute and a half left. Then I saw New Orleans march the whole field and kick what should have been the winning field goal. Then there was 30 seconds left. Then I watched Minnesota stumble, bumble, but get a couple big plays and then the OMG moment with Stephon Diggs, and wow. So people can get on the Saints for their defensive choice in that particular instance. You can get on the Vikings for nailing it. They obviously did. The guy went to tackle Diggs and missed and tackled his own man. It was perfect timing for Diggs, who almost landed out of bounds because he was initially trying to get out of bounds, which would have been the smart play. Then he realized there was nobody else on the field, stood up and ran into the end zone. And Mandy and I pick games every week. We picked Minnesota to win, and we were cheering like it was our own team. That was incredible. I can't believe the Vikings won that football game. That was two really even teams that held one another more or less in check, and then they went back and forth in the final 2 minutes, and the Vikings managed to prevail. How exciting. Like, it would only have been better if those were my Jets winning. But it's also like, oh, if you're a Vikings fan and you really didn't want them to lose, or you're a Saints fan and they did lose, that's like gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching. I know, Maddie, it's gut-wrenching. But it was so exciting. Like, I didn't actually think he was going to catch the pass because I thought that the Saints were going to defend it proper and, like, stop it. And then he caught it. And I'm like, okay, well, get out of bounds, get out of bounds. Don't let them tackle you in bounds. And then the two Saints collided, and Diggs is out there, and he's like, oh, he's going to get up. He's not out of bounds. Okay, run out of bounds because there must be somebody else there. And then I'm like, wait, I'm seeing him. Vikes. Oh, I'll get to your question in a second, Raiders. Vikes first pass. Do you think the NFL is rigged? Okay, so what? Final thought. Final thought on the Vikings actually winning that game, because then he's like, get out of bounds, get out of bounds, and then he stays in bounds. But there was no one else in the field, and he ran in for a touchdown. I was just cheering. I was cheering like it was my own team. Okay, this is an excellent question, so I'm going to dive right into it. Thank you so much for submitting it. I will type back an answer as I live it. Yes, Maddie, I know. Do you think the NFL is rigged? Having played football and just sports in general, it's so difficult to rig a game of football. There are just so many uncontrollable things. Now, obviously with challenges, and they've been so suspect all season, then the refs can challenge and they can reverse. And the Vikings definitely have all the momentum right now. Philadelphia is at a disadvantage. I don't believe that their running game is as good. I don't believe their defense is as good. And I don't believe that their quarterback is as good. But we also know that the Eagles are home, and that means a lot. The Eagles also won by stopping their opponent at the very end of the game, like I said, a nail-biter. So I believe the Vikings have a little bit of momentum edge. I also think that they match up better against the Eagles than the Eagles do match up against the Vikings. I'm picking Minnesota to win that. You think the NFL is rigged because of the Vikes versus Patriots? No, I mean, I almost feel like the NFL would rather have it be Philadelphia versus New England because the Eagles are a bigger market. This is a matchup of a Super Bowl that took place when Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were at the very beginning of their dynasty. So for them to beat the Eagles at the beginning of the dynasty and then beat the Eagles at the end of the dynasty, that's kind of coming full circle. He could retire on top. So there are definitely things that are rigged about the NFL, right? So I would say some things are rigged, some are not. As a Jets fan, the challenges and reversals, and because it's now a booth challenge more or less, freaking baffled my mind this year. I saw I can count 3 touchdowns the Jets scored. I can count 3 touchdowns the Jets scored that got reversed that shouldn't have been. Okay, rank all 4 teams left in order. Also, if Vikes win, would it be the first time a team has hosted a Super Bowl? Yes, it would be the first time. Yes, it would be the first time a team hosted its own Super Bowl, which would be freaking awesome. So I am rooting for Minnesota to beat the Eagles, mainly because they just felt like the lovable underdog all season. And if they can if they can have a home Super Bowl, that would be amazing. Okay. If I'm going to rank all 4 teams, the Patriots are first because they have all the experience. They have the best quarterback. But I don't think that necessarily means that they're going to beat Jacksonville. I actually think Jacksonville is going to beat New England because they have a better defense and a better running game. But on paper, New England is number 1. I mean, it'd be silly not to rank them number 1. They're defending Super Bowl champions. But I think that Jacksonville is a close 1A. I have been super impressed with the Jaguars throughout this postseason. And I guess that makes the Vikings 3rd and the Eagles 4th. These teams are all really, really close. I could put all 4 teams could be ranked 1. But Pat's first. The reason I say that is because there was a real top heaviness to the league this year, and the Eagles and Vikings were at the top, and so were the Patriots and Jaguars. It's not a coincidence that these are the 4 teams left. It's not a coincidence that everyone else lost. People were very high on Pittsburgh, but they played so many close games, it is no surprise to me that they lost. Jacksonville, New England is a really, really close matchup. Vikings Eagles is a really, really close matchup. The Patriots are first because of Tom Brady. I have to put them first because of Tom Brady. Maybe this is just AFC bias on my part. I like Jacksonville second, Vikes third, Eagles fourth. And I'm gonna tell you why in a second. I'm gonna tell you why because of who they beat. So the Patriots dispatched Tennessee, and I think that they've just pretty much dispatched everyone this season. They're obviously much better at home, so that the Super Bowl will level the playing field. But Jacksonville beat Pittsburgh, having played their game, scoring a lot of points in the process. That really impressed me. Jacksonville has been good all year. They topped the Titans to win their division, which was no small feat. And the reason I have Vikings third behind Jacksonville is because while I liked the Saints, I thought that they overachieved a bit. And then the Eagles took out the Falcons, who were not – they were a step below this year. They were in that second tier of team. And they needed a nail-biter, both of them, to win. I just think Pittsburgh was better than Atlanta and New Orleans, and therefore I like the Jacksonville Jaguars over the other two because of who they defeated. And then Jacksonville beat Buffalo. I just like their road. I think it was harder. And so that's how I'm ranking it. I'm also an AFC guy, so I have a little bit of AFC bias. I will admit it. So I think the Vikes would beat Jacksonville if they both make it. That's an interesting. I tend to agree. Here's why. So if it's Jacksonville versus Minnesota, Minnesota's home. So home field advantage, especially in the Super Bowl, that is unreal. That's going to be an unreal advantage. We've never seen it before, right? I also think that Minnesota's defense and Jacksonville's defense, they match up really well. Now, I think Jacksonville has the edge in the running game, but Minnesota has the edge in the passing game. And if this is the scenario, I think the Vikings can make Jacksonville play their game at home. I think that it's going to be a close game, but I think Vikings will prevail because it will be a home game for them, because they will force Jacksonville to play their game, but they can play it better. I'm also unclear. Like, we've seen quarterbacks like ride this success wave all the way to a Super Bowl title. Flacco did it. Eli Manning did it twice. And Blake Bortles is riding it right now. He's playing just well enough. He's not making mistakes, and he's making the plays enough to win. And his team is excellent. But I don't think people are giving Case Keenum quite enough credit. The Saints had a great defense this season, and Keenum, I mean, he did just enough to beat them. But he didn't shine. But the freaking Saints were one of the best defenses in the league at times. So I think Keenum, he's like the survivor there over Bridgewater and then Bradford, and he's just really taken it into his own. I really like what I've seen out of Case Keenum. I think that he's the better quarterback as opposed to Bortles. I think Bortles might have the edge over Nick Foles only because Nick Foles hasn't played enough this year. He was the backup for so many weeks. Obviously, Tom Brady has the edge. So let's see. So it could be Jaguars versus Vikings, where I think the Vikings would beat the Jaguars. If it's Jaguars versus Eagles, I think Jacksonville will beat the Eagles. I was thinking that the Eagles would make the NFC Championship. I don't see them making the Super Bowl, but you never know what will happen. I believe the Vikings beat the Eagles. But if it's Jacksonville versus Philadelphia, I think Jacksonville can take out Philly in the finale. They have a better run game and a better defense. Okay, so now if the Patriots win, which Patriots-Vikings seems like the more likely play. I don't know what the lines are yet, so I like to pick with the spreads. Eagles are the worst team left. Yeah, they just are. If Carson Wentz was still playing, we'd be having a different conversation, but he's not. He's hurt. And Nick Foles is good, but just not great. So if it's Patriots versus Eagles, I think the Patriots will beat the Eagles again. If it's Patriots versus Vikings, this is very tough. I think Vikings have a better defense. I think the Patriots obviously have a better passing game. and I think their running games are kind of equal. Both of them very good at times. So the Vikings have home field advantage. I give the Patriots the edge because of Tom Brady and because of their Super Bowl experience. Having been to a Super Bowl before is a huge advantage for a team. Having won last year, it's very hard to defend their championship, but the Patriots have done that before too. Now, the home field advantage could really be the deciding factor for Minnesota in their takedown of the Patriots, but there will be underdogs. I don't see New England repeating. I don't know who's going to beat them. I don't see them repeating. I just don't see it happening. They did it once before. I don't think that they're going to do it. Now, any of our other three teams beating them and winning a Super Bowl, I hope you bet on them in the preseason, because talk about a long shot. But I don't know if it'll be Minnesota, Philadelphia, or Jacksonville to beat the Patriots, but one of them is going to. I kind of hope it's Jacksonville, but I know that America probably hopes that they don't, because getting Tom Brady and the Patriots into the Super Bowl, it's like the evil empire returns. Yeah, they're the evil empire of football, just like my Yankees are the evil empire of baseball. This has been exciting. Any last questions before I sign off for the day? Since I've kind of hit my time limit and my daughter's requesting my attention. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm rooting for the Vikings this weekend against the Eagles, and I'll be rooting for the Jaguars against the Patriots. Oh, one final question. Okay. Do you think the teams like my Raiders will finally use the Jags' way to success, which is signing a lot of big-name defensive free agents? I hope so. The Jaguars also drafted well. They got Leonard Fournette, who has been a stellar rookie. But the Giants did that a year ago. They signed a bunch of defensive free agents before last season, and that worked out, and they had a great season last year. Didn't work out in year two. The Raiders need to protect Derek Carr, and they need a running game. They don't have a running game. I'm not surprised Marshawn Lynch fell short this year. He didn't play the year before, and I don't think he's the long-term answer. They need a young running back, and they need to protect Derek Carr better. But yeah, bringing in some defensive free agents is a surefire way to fill those holes. My Jets have done it successfully in the past, and they've also done it unsuccessfully. It's hard to do because people don't want to let those guys go. I would look for the Raiders at a running back, and yes, fill those holes defensively in free agency. It sounds like did you steal? I know maybe it wasn't you that stole the 49ers defensive coach, but I liked the Raiders this season, and they fell short of my expectations. I actually thought they would be a playoff team for sure and win that division. So they can easily bounce back. Some injuries fall a different way next year. But they need to add a couple of key defensive free agents and then either draft young defense or draft a running back, because that's their biggest need. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys for your questions. And let's enjoy some amazing conference championship football this weekend. I will be live next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, on BuzzChomp's YouTube channel and over at the Dan Salem on Facebook to talk our Super Bowl matchup and the fallout from our 2 conference championship games. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a good night. Peace.